I don't allow myself to be proud of things very often, but I am rather proud of my association with Women's Art Collection because it started very early on. I think I was probably one of the first 20 or 30 women to give work, probably around about 1990. We had no idea of what it could become. It was a leap of faith, all the women to give such major works to an unknown quantity, but with the belief that this was going to be a great thing. I think my imagery and subject matter comes essentially from female experience and the female form. Yes, it's observed, but it's also a lot of imagination. I'm telling stories across a number of works, and there are themes developing that I return to time and time again. I'm Eileen Cooper. I'm an artist, and I was born in the northwest of England. I came to study at Goldsmith's when I was 18, and I've been in London ever since. I grew up in Glossop, which was quite a small town then, a small industrial town, but quite pretty on the edge of the Peak District. And everybody knew who I was because of my family. We had a shop, and I actually hated that as a youngster. I wanted anonymity. I didn't want to be Jack Cooper's daughter. So once I went to college in Ashton-under-Lyne, I think I began to see horizons beyond Glossop. My tutor at Ashton-under-Lyne, an amazing teacher called Bill Clark, said to me, "You should consider going to Goldsmith's because it's a great college." I'm part of a generation who were very fortunate to go and study on government grants. So I went to Goldsmiths in 1971. I had 3 years fully funded study there, and then I went to the Royal College of Art for a further 3 years. So I feel that I was given the most incredible opportunities to discover if I could be an artist. It wasn't until I'd actually had about 2 or 3 one-person shows that I thought, well, maybe I can say I'm an artist and put it on my passport now. So I learned to draw from observation at Ashton-under-Lyne with this wonderful tutor. And it was only when I came to Goldsmiths and I went through this kind of big change that I began to draw wholly from imagination, and I turned my back on life drawing. And then I realised that something very exciting was happening, and that stuck with me for a long time. I worked from memory, feeling and imagination. I think the date of the first painting I gave you, Seasick, is 1989. It was part of that group of work that I was making at that time, where I think I began to move out of a lot of cadmium reds, but it's still a very red picture. I'm a very red and blue artist. Within that, moving from red to Indian red to browns and different kinds of blues, and I think that picture sums up my instinctive use of colour. That was a painting with a tussle in it, the tussle between the artist and the subject. Did the man appear later in the picture? I think he did, and then I painted him out, and then it looked like they were in the sea. I knew that it was a difficult picture, and that's probably part of the reason of giving it to a women's art collection, that it's a very open picture. The female figure is unashamedly open, and I know that will bring problems with it for some people looking at it. I do use boats quite often. The boat shape can also read a bit like a coffin, or the symbolism of a galleon on the sea can be the idea of a journey through the unconscious, water being the unconscious. So the boat seemed to be a nice balance to the disturbance of the picture, actually. I donated Perpetual Spring to your collection when the previous curator who I'd got to know, Eliza Gluckman, came to visit me. I knew she was after a new painting, and that happened to be a recent one that I thought was particularly good. I think I was a bit reluctant to donate it at first, but it became obvious that it was a great one to go in the spot that they had in mind. And it related also, I think, to the Paula Rego and the Maggie Hamling in terms of colour. So I just went for it, really, and it was a great thing to do. I've never regretted it. And now that painting's on display and constantly people are seeing it, it's not tucked away in some private collection. It's really hard to say what it's about. I occasionally work from found photographs or from photographs that I've seen. For example, recently I've worked from a photograph by Helen Chadwick of a woman looking in the mirror, and it's actually Helen, a self-portrait of Helen looking in the mirror. So that's been a way of me finding imagery. And with Perpetual Spring, that was from a photograph. I can't remember now where I found it, who it was by, but I can't answer whether it's an embrace or a tussle, and whether it's the same woman, the two sides of her. I think that is probably quite likely because I use that a lot. That duality in my work of the woman appearing more than once or looking at herself, which is why the mirror's so important to my imagery, really. I don't think it's narcissistic, it's a way of seeing. Observing the experience of students at Mary Edwards College did inform that big drawing, Another Step on the Ladder. And talking to Harriet, your curator, and also to Dorothy, the president, so I got a clearer idea of what it's like for those young women studying there. The idea of women helping women, and the ladder signifies that in a way, women helping each other up the ladder. The ladder has come and gone over the years, as have other images like the tiger or the swing or the mirror. The ladder has also the wrestling of figures on the ladder, so not always straightforward imagery of rungs on the ladder, but more often this sort of difficulty and balance. I think balance is a big subject for me. Radium Dreams was a collaboration with the poet Sue Hubbard. It was definitely her idea. It was on the life of Marie Curie, and Sue wrote a whole series of poems, then passed them over to me, and we discussed them a little bit, and then I began to make work on them. I think I made work for over a year, again, as I do, putting things away, getting them out, changing them. And in the end, the early drawings I'd made for Radium Dreams contributed to the collages that they later became. I love the space of Mary Edwards College. It feels incredibly user-friendly, and I've noticed over the years that plants are now everywhere. I don't think they were there in the beginning. I'm very pleased that my work hangs in the dome where the students eat. The collection looks wonderful in the building. It doesn't feel off-putting and terrifying that these are quite major works of art. It feels that they are there for people to enjoy.